Thanks, Danny. Well, powerful thunderstorms and flash flooding hit parts of the Northeast, flooding subway systems and roadways. Parts of Pennsylvania recorded more than 7 inches of rain in less than 5 hours. Bradley Blackburn has more on the severe weather that's affecting millions.
Water surged into New York City's subway stations and right onto trains, bringing the nation's largest mass transit system to a grinding halt. Just after rush hour Monday, service was suspended on key routes. And above ground, it wasn't any better. Strong winds and heavy rain ripped through the area, with parts of multiple states under flash flood warnings. In New York Central Park, more than 2 inches were recorded in just 1 hour.
This is no joke.
New Jersey's governor declared a state of emergency. In Plainfield, houses flooded and trees toppled.
I've never seen flooding like this.
And in Scotch Plains, floodwaters stranded drivers on overwhelmed roadways.
The water was right here.
In the car, up to you.
In the car.
Rescue crews pulled this man through the water by rope, and other crews used boats and even a front loader to get people to safety.
We tried to go up the road and we couldn't, so they told us just to stay there, and they came and picked me up in a loader.
Mountjoy, Pennsylvania was also hard hit, clocking more than 7 inches of rain. And in Ellicott City, Maryland, officials got ahead of the storms, closing businesses and streets early, even towing cars before the water rose.
I feel like they were very prepared for what happened.
Powerful weather that took millions of others by surprise. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
New York City subways are back online for commuters, but they are running with delays. Meanwhile, recovery efforts continue in Texas from the deadly July 4th flash flooding. Debris and high water is making it difficult for crews to search for victims. Kirk County's top elected official said the impact is being felt beyond just the hill country. County leaders say many of the missing were visitors that came in for the holiday weekend. The death toll now sits at over 130. More than 100 people are still missing. Texas Governor Greg Abbott will convene a special legislative session next week to discuss improving flood warning systems and providing relief funding. Meanwhile, Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs is calling for an investigation into the Park Service's handling of the fire that destroyed at least 50 buildings in the Grand Canyon. She questions why the July 4th fire was treated as a controlled burn. Officials say the White Sage fire there has grown to almost 20 times its size in just 5 days. It's one of 2 fires that's burning at the Grand Canyon.
Just tearing through a bunch of sage and cheatgrass, so you have this fine continuous fuel that just carries it along. When you're facing a fire that's moving that fast, I mean, you might as well be trying to stop a tsunami.
The U.S. Forest Service says lightning is believed to have started both of these fires. The south rim of the canyon remains open for now. Well, the Trump administration has been given the green light to dismantle the Department of Education and lay off all of its employees. This comes as the president gave his own green light for the sale of weapons to NATO, which will be delivered to Ukraine. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
Russia says Ukrainian drone attacks struck overnight, injuring more than a dozen and damaging buildings. The Financial Times reports Tuesday that President Trump privately encouraged Ukraine to step up deep strikes on Russian territory, even asking President Volodymyr Zelensky if Ukraine could hit Moscow, citing people briefed on the discussions.
We are very unhappy, I am, with Russia.
It comes as the U.S. and NATO worked out a deal to provide more weapons to Ukraine as NATO allies ramp up pressure on Russian President Vladimir Putin. President Zelensky says he's grateful to President Trump and blamed Putin for dragging out the war. Zelensky says the two leaders spoke following President Trump's announcement that he will impose 100% tariffs on countries that buy Russian goods and oil if a ceasefire deal isn't reached in 50 days.
It is very positive that President Trump is taking a strong stance on Russia. On the other hand, 50 days is a very long time if we see that they are killing innocent civilians also every day.
Here at home, the U.S. Supreme Court issued an order allowing the Trump administration to move forward with mass firings of nearly 1,400 employees of the Department of Education while the case works through the appeals process.
The court's liberal justices, in a scathing dissent, said the move permits the government to proceed with dismantling the department, calling the decision indefensible. President Trump on social media called it a victory to parents and students, saying the administration can return the functions of the department back to the states. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services laid off thousands of employees this week. Workers got an email Monday letting them know their jobs would be gone by the end of the day. The move was originally announced back in April, but got held up by a legal battle. That fight ended last week when the Supreme Court ruled that HHS could move forward with the cuts. Experts say more legal challenges are still possible, but the High Court's decision could give the agency the upper hand. Well, new at noon, we're learning that Slim Chickens is asking a judge to dismiss a fraud case in Washington County Court. Several Slim Chickens franchise operators have accused the Fayetteville-based fast food restaurant chain of providing prospective franchisees with misleading financial information that left them open to widespread losses. You can read about the lawsuit on our website, 5newsonline.com. Well, we've learned that a Pea Ridge man has died in a motorcycle crash. This happened early Sunday morning in Bentonville. Police say 25-year-old Jacob Gill was heading north on Southeast 10th Street and Southeast Integrity Drive when he tried to make a left turn, but went off the road and hit a tree. The roads were wet from rain at the time of the crash. And in a separate incident, a 47-year-old man was killed in a multi-car crash in Centerton over the weekend. Police say Efrain Herrera was driving a Dodge Durango near East Centerton Boulevard and Greenhouse Road on Saturday afternoon when he crossed into oncoming traffic and hit another car. That impact then caused a third car to be involved. In Johnson County, we're learning a 25-year-old man from Houston died in a semi-truck crash in Clarksville. State police say 25-year-old Raymond Joseph was driving a semi on I-40 just before 4 in the morning last Wednesday when he went off the road and hit a cable barrier. Police say the truck then came back onto the interstate and flipped, and Joseph died at the scene. Well, the community is remembering a Charleston man who was shot and killed near Lavaca last week. Loved ones say 52-year-old Brad Jones was a coach, a business owner, and mentor to many. The Sebastian County Sheriff's Office says Jones was shot on July 10th while visiting a home off Highway 96. His coworker, Jamie Fisher, says they came to talk about a payment for a cabinet job. He says a man eventually came outside and shot Jones moments later. Fisher tells us he tried to help, but nothing could prepare him for what he saw.
Just said, Brad, lay down, you know what I mean? Stay down. And then I looked up at that guy and I was like, dang, I was like, you just messed up. He's like, back up. He's like, you'll be next. You know what I mean? He's like, I'll shoot you too.
Jones was taken to a nearby hospital where he later died. No arrests have been made at this time, but the Sebastian County Sheriff's Office says they are still investigating. Well, the city of Fayetteville could be changing how it handles recycling, moving from the curb-based system to a cart-based model. Officials say using this program helps the city work alongside the rest of Northwest Arkansas, and this is more accessible for customers.
It will enable us to scale our recycling services to more customers. So we'll be able to reach more multifamily customers and more commercial customers that we're not able to reach right now.
If the resolution passes, it could be in place by next year.